Okay, good morning everybody. So this is the second day of the 28th Indonesian Rendezvous. How are you today? So the MC already explained about the agenda today. So this is, we have the Mr. Bondan from Ministry of Indonesia. So this morning, the second day of the 28th Indonesian Rendezvous, we will discuss and share valuable thoughts in our today first session with the topics of Agile Risk Management in Transforming Health Business. So before we start, maybe I have a brief statement about the healthcare sector, which is the healthcare sector is experiencing in rapid change. The ability to manage risk with agility has never been more crucial. So the behavior of the patient and policyholder, medical cost inflation, the competition among the players, and then the technological advance like the telemedicine and artificial intelligence, market dynamics and changes in regulatory are some factors that challenge the sustainability of the health businesses. So we have to responsibility and navigate these challenges with the flexibility, foresight and resilience. Today, relating to the topic, we already have Mr. Bondan. We have the CV of Mr. Bondan, or? Okay, can't you, sorry? So can we already see Mr. Bondan is the, so I cannot see the CV, so let me stand. Experience in Pusat Kebijakan Pembiayaan dan Desentralisasi Kesehatan, and then Pusat Sistem and Strategi Kesehatan Kemenkes, and then Pusat Sistem and Strategi Kesehatan also in Kemenkes, Inspektorat 3 di Kemenkes, Inspektorat 4 di Kemenkes, and then the formerly Mr. Bondan experience in PT Bukopin Tbk, right? Okay, Mr. Bondan, the stage is yours, so you can explain the first session of this topic, the Agile Risk Management in Transforming Health Business. Thank you.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good morning, distinguished audience. Allow me to use my notes because it will save your time and it will keep me on the topic. So, to start, I would like to extend an apology on behalf of Bu Liza, who unfortunately couldn't be here today due to unforeseen commitment. I've been asked to step in and I'm excited to share some valuable insight with you. This particular topic is specifically asked by the committee of this event. Today, the presentation is about the dissemination of Minister of Health Decree number 1366 of the newly launched 2024 about the guidelines for implementing cost differences by supplemental health insurance through coordination between insurance providers. What a long name. In bahasa, we call it KAPJ, Koordinasi Antar Penyelenggara Jaminan. So, that's how we mention the name now. And I hope this session will provide you valuable insight and sparks new ideas. Once again, thank you for the invitation, AAUI. This event fortunately aligned with our agenda to accelerate the dissemination of this decree. This outreach is also being carried out in collaboration with the OJK and BPJS Kesehatan. This regulation is in part a response to the current challenges faced by the National Health Insurance Program, our JKN, particularly concerning its sustainability. Next slide, please. Next. So before we start to disseminate the decree, I will tell you a story about the background. On a macro level, the trend of healthcare spending continue to increase. I believe we all agree on this. The left figures show us that healthcare inflation has steadily risen, reaching 13.6% in 2023. If we compare this to our economic growth, around, let's say, 5%, it means healthcare inflation is rising almost 3 times the public financial capacity. This also aligns with the trend of increasing healthcare expenditure, as you see on the right figure. The causes include rising price of medical goods, findings from our monitoring and evaluation such as overutilization, which happen everywhere, and increase in insurance claims burden. Okay, this is the figure of our national health account. I believe all of you are already familiar with this figure. So, ladies and gentlemen, upon deeper analysis through the national health account figures, the worst conditions are experienced by the public, as out-of-pocket spending, which represented by the darkest green, I know the top of the chart. So, the out-of-pocket spending has not significantly decreased. As you may already know, the WHO have this magic number. So, ideally, a country needs to push out-of-pocket into 20% level. As you can see on the red bar, that's the role of our private insurance. It remains relatively small. It's increasing. It's not significant. It's only 5%. The MOH, the government, aims to reduce out-of-pocket spending by encouraging greater involvement from private insurance. This concern is one we continuously voice, as we and our families are part of the out-of-pocket scheme. Out-of-pocket, which is correlated with uncertainty, can certainly mitigate through the utilization of health insurance. The government is always open to making correction. This policy will be continuously monitored, evaluated, and adjusted according to the latest development. So, okay. Zooming in from the macro level, let's now look from the perspective of our Social Security Fund, or we'll be more familiar with DJS. As you see on the left figure, although the claim ratio has decreased over time, but more than 100%. According to the financial report as shown on the right, net assets relative to the average monthly claims are down to 3.8 months. So it's only 4 months. If no new policy or government intervention, including support from all stakeholders, it is predicted by the 5th month, BPJS Kesehatan will no longer be able to pay the claims. Based on DJS projection, by 2025, it will be reduced to just 0.5 or half month, 2 weeks, everyone. This is concerning. This is a huge problem. This is a structural problem. The government does not want this to happen, of course, and the anticipatory steps are needed. Let's move on to more detail. What about the condition, the situation in the private sector? If you look at the private health insurance sector, the situation is kind of similar. From 2019 to 2023, we can observe the widening deficit gap between premiums and claims. The proportion may be small, only 5% as we see before, but if it goes collapse or bankrupt, the impact will be systemic and it will impact other schemes. So we need to make sure that things is not going to happen. Let's get into more detail, zooming in again. Based on the data that we obtained from AAUI, the range of hospital claim bills to private insurance is very wide. From 86% to 3,000% of the INA-CBG's rate. When looking at the median data, the result vary by hospital and region, ranging from approximately 270% to 287%. This confirms the data from the previous slide, showing that in the past 5 years, private insurance has paid out more in claims than it has collected in premium. From the previous explanation, we already capture and get the nuance of the situation that we are facing. Let's now look at the regulation that we currently have. The first, under the law number 40 of 2024, National Social Security System, or SJSN, there are areas that can be explored. It states here that the explanation of paragraph 4, participant who is to receive a higher class than their entitlement can upgrade their entitlement by enrolling in additional health insurance. Second, the law number 17 of 2023 on health allows for new policies to mitigate the issues mentioned earlier. It states that residents who wish to receive additional benefit can enroll in supplemental health insurance through coordination with other health insurers. Next, the Presidential Regulation number 59 states that the cost difference can be covered, including through the supplemental health insurance scheme, or after this we call it AKT, Asuransi Kesehatan Tambahan. As note, the cost difference is excluded for beneficiaries in class 3. Lastly, the Ministry of Health Regulation number 3, I think you're really familiar with this. This regulation stipulates that the cost difference is paid based on agreement with the healthcare facilities that do not yet have standardization. You need to underline this, does not yet have standardization. This is one of the reasons behind the wide gap mentioned earlier. It can be said that this is a regulatory gap that needs to be addressed. Okay, let's go straight to the decree. But before we go into details, there are two things that we need to mention. The first, this decree does not cancel out any regulation above. So it will not negate anything from the regulation above this. Second, this decree does not stand alone. It will be supported by an updated grouper system. For your information, currently there are already 1,166 grouper for inpatient services and 433 for outpatient services. The new grouper we are developing will more closely align with the service provided to the public in Indonesia. Our existing grouper is more on the Malaysian people, so because we adopt the grouper system from Malaysia. The grouper concept, used globally, follows an average cost approach and a normal distribution curve, where both left and the right of the curve will gradually move toward the center. Logically, this change will impact the new rates. Lastly, we want to inform you, from the healthcare provider's perspective, the hospitals will be categorized into 4 competency level. Dasar, or basic level, Madya, or the intermediate level, Utama, or the primary level, and Paripurna. What is the term for Paripurna in English? Paripurna. Okay. In the current system, for the same procedure, payments to the hospital of different levels vary, and this uncertainty continues in the ecosystem. This is not a healthy ecosystem. With the new grouper, we are hoping claims for a particular service will be the same, regardless of which hospital provides the care. This decree is expected to provide certainty by coordinating the payment of cost difference between BPJS Kesehatan and the AKT. The mechanism will ensure the participant eligibility, ensure the collectability and payment contribution, ensure the interoperability of the information system, ensure the data exchange, and set the portion of service cost covered by AKT as the difference between the hospital rate and what is covered by the BPJS Kesehatan. Okay. This decree will encourage private health insurance to be more creative in designing their product, in designing their policy moving forward. The cost-sharing policy in KEPJ, this decree, regulates the implementation of AKT for JKN participants who wish to upgrade their inpatient class beyond their entitled level. The higher patient referred to is upgrading from class 1 to both class 1. This is the simulation. For example, this is a patient diagnosed with heart disease and diabetes mellitus undergoing for a PTCA. As you may see on the screen, I believe the first question that will likely arise is, why is the cap set at 200%? This is because the median data that we already witnessed is around 270% to 287%. Pay attention on the first table. If the hospital rate is greater than 200%, we will cap it at 200%. The calculation is 75% of the claim is being covered by the BPJS and 125% covered by the AKT. And then what about the rates below 200%? Check out the second table. 75% will still be covered by the BPJS and the remaining amount will be covered by the AKT. There are 2 points I would like to inform you. The INA-CBG rate used as the basis for the payment portion calculation is the total rate, not the base rate. Another potential question is, what if the hospital rate is lower than the INA-CBG rate, which is not going to happen? But to answer this, it will not fall under the scope of this decree. So it's status quo. I believe this is the last slide. The Minister of Health decree serves as one of the instruments for improving this JKN ecosystem. I think it's the healthcare ecosystem. The decree provides options for participants who wish to use both JKN and their private insurance policy. If we don't start now, the government concerned about the sustainability of this social insurance system will become a reality with a high risk of bankruptcy. The impact will be systemic across Indonesian society. We understand that this policy might still have gaps and require a lot of input. We will continue to evaluate it for improvement. The monitoring and evaluation process will involve BPJS Kesehatan, the OJK, the DJSN. In conclusion, as we move forward with the implementation of this new regulation, it is crucial that we continue to collaborate and remain adaptive to the evolving challenges facing the JKN program. The effort made by the institution like OJK, BPJS, and all of you here today are the key to ensuring the sustainability and success of this initiative. Thank you once again for your attention and participation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bondar Wicaksono Adi, for your insightful presentation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite our panelists for this session to join with us to the stage. Jika saya untuk dapat mengundang panelis kita untuk dapat bergabung ke atas panggung, please welcome to the stage Chief Executive Officer PT Medilink Digital Medica, Mr. Raja Muralitaran. May we have continue our session today. This is the Agile Risk Management in Transforming Business. Our moderator, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Mbak MC. Okay, we have now complete 5 panelists here. We are fortunate to have you in this stage today. We are discussing about the Agile Risk Management in Transforming Health Business. So before we start, we will explain about your resume. Can slideshow about the resume of the panelists, please. So Mr. Raja Muralidharan, please welcome Mr. Raja. This is the CEO of PT Medilink Digital Medica. Mr. Raja has over 30 years experience in a healthcare and insurance industry across the Indonesia and Malaysia. So in a dynamic world in organizational success, Raja already excelled the recognition and development talent, coaching team members, and also corporate culture and creating a support work environment. So his professional journey includes the roles of COO at Administrative Medica in Indonesia, right, Mr. Raja? And then currently Raja has served the CEO of Medilink Digital Medica, showcasing his ongoing commitment to leadership and innovation in the industry. The second one we have, this is Mr. Muhammad Reza Putra. Please welcome Mr. Reza. We can call you Mr. Reza, right? He is the General Manager of GHS Division from PT Asuransi Multi Artaguna. His experience is from 2013 to 2019 as a Senior Manager in Asuransi Signa, and then also the Assistant Vice President in Sompo, and General Manager in Asuransi Multi Artaguna. So he has an expertise in group health and life sales operation setup, business development and data acquisition, telemarketing and call center setup, and also risk management and underwriting. The third panelist is Mr. Eric. Mr. Eric Nemitz is he is a President Director of PT Sompo Insurance Indonesia. Mr. Eric has been the CEO of Sompo Insurance Indonesia since April 2018, right? Okay. And then he also served as COO of Sompo Insurance Indonesia in September 2019. So before the joining, he held responsibility at Allianz Group for 15 years and also experience in European and Asian market. Okay, and then the fourth one is Ibu Desi. Welcome Ibu Desi Kusumayati. She is the Director of Life and Health Business at PT Indo Perkasa Sukses Jaya Reasuransi, or we call it INARE, right? Ms. Desi started the professional career in 2002 with ACA a general insurance company, and has been in the insurance industry for more than 20 years. Okay. She graduated from medical school at UPN Veteran Jakarta and holds the qualification of A3IG, the Ajun Asuransi Indonesia Jiwa, Ajun Ahli Asuransi Indonesia Jiwa. Sorry Bu, agak kepleset nih. She fulfilled the requirements as a director according to the result in fit and proper with the OJK. So this is our 4 panelists. We are fortunate to have them all here to share their valuable thoughts in health businesses. The second presentation will be conducted by Mr. Raja. You have the 15 minutes, Pak Raja. Silakan.
Selamat pagi. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Shalom, Namo Buddhaya. Salam kebajikan untuk kita semua. Yang terhormat Pak Budi Herawan, Ketua AAUI dan Board of AAUI, dan teman-teman industri bersama. Oke, selamat pagi. Ya. Untuk topik hari ini, fraud in health insurance, mungkin saya langsung karena sudah ada reality dan ketentuan juga dari OJK dari tahun 2017 bahwa fraud di industri ini memang sesuatu yang tidak bisa dielakkan. Yang penting apa yang kita bisa lakukan bersama untuk mengenal pasti, identify and manage the fraud. Okay, saya minta izin Pak Ibu, saya gunakan bahasa Inggris, so our foreign guests can also understand my presentation. Okay, thank you. So fraud itself, if we look at it, there are many opportunities in the industry, and there are many players, and the potential fraud comes from the patient, the hospital, but basically it's the stakeholders, right? Including, sometimes sad to say, even the employees of the insurance company themselves. Because as long as there is greed, there is fraud. Okay, semua industri ada fraudnya. Now, dari sini kalau kita coba identify, yang paling sering terjadi di Indonesia sekarang adalah overpay, over-treatment, unbundling, doing treatments that are not necessary, okay, which is seperti yang teman saya Pak Bonda udah ngomong tadi, benar. Over-treatment is something that is very common, okay. Now, kalau kita lihat over-treatment is tidak hanya merugikan secara financial, tapi juga secara kenyamanan patient. Padahal kita lihat kemarin, saya ada satu case, dia butuhkan suntikan 3 hari, padahal di rumah sakit itu disuntik 6 hari. Kan, itu kan bikin mau nggak mau, it hurts the patient. Ya, dan hal-hal begini dapat dikenal pasti dengan mengadakan sistem yang baik. Okay, like what? I keep my presentation short so that we can have more Q&A. Yeah, we will share the presentation with everybody later. Okay. Now, yang paling penting I think is first, all of us must accept that fraud is there. Second, we recognize where the fraud is coming from. Third, we build in the systems in place to capture. Now, this is where I feel the private sector can benefit by working with the public sector. How do we work together? Karena BPJS has already built in a lot of control to identify fraud. And yet, hospitals, sorry to say, they still have some fraud. Now, how can we use data in the world of digital world? Now, all information is being captured real time, using AI, like my company itself, Medilink, we do a lot of AI integration to the claims. So when a claims happen in a hospital, the system can straight away pick up. And you will laugh probably, we actually picked up one case, maternity untuk cowok. A man came for maternity check. So these are very funny, but it happens, you know, because he brought his wife. So dia gunakan benefit kesehatan dia untuk istri. Tapi di klinik itu dimasukkan as medical check-up. So we were like, huh? A man is coming for medical check-up. But as funny as it is, it's happening. Now with the system, my doctor gets an alert, and immediately the doctor calls the clinic within 8 minutes and say, is the patient still there? Can we have a video call with the patient? Then the hospital, oh mohon maaf, tadi kebetulan, the patient user the husband's benefit. You know, this kind of thing, very simple. Now, to put this in perspective, what we have is a system that integrates the hospital, the clinic, the lab, the patient on their mobile app, the insurance company, and eventually maybe even BPJS. That means it's a one-stop. So the moment any medical interaction happens, everybody will know. Even if it's a child, the parents can know. That means, while I'm sitting at home, I can get an alert that my son or daughter is seeking treatment in a clinic. We have come to that level. Now it's a matter of how do we implement and how do we get participation from all the hospitals. Because just like any change, resistance is high. This morning we were having some discussion and they said, health is one of the most non-transparent industry. Non-transparent, that means it's kept within themselves. Okay, maaf kalau dokter-dokter ya. But it's the industry, bukan salahnya perorangan. It's the industry itself. Kalau saya mau beli mobil aja, dia langsung keluar, Pak, ini masih kartu kredit belum dibayar, Pak. Masa sih mau KPR lagi gitu kan? It's very transparent. Kalau bank, they won't give you a loan, they won't give you a card. But the health industry is so protected, of course, one, because of the Medical Record Protection Act. Ya, karena medical itu memang personal, nggak bisa di-sharing. Tapi dengan security yang seharusnya, seperti teman kita yang kemarin di Peruri presentasi, you can have multiple level of security. Individu ada hak untuk to share or not to share the medical data. It's the individual's right. Just like what Satu Sehat is being driven by the ministry. What we are saying is, don't take your health information and give to everybody. No, it's your right. But using your right, you can use either your thumbprint or your biometric and give access to a doctor. Now that doctor can immediately look at your medical history and they know, oh baru bulan kemarin buat ronsen, you just did your x-ray, you just did your medical checkup, so you don't have to do it again. So that will reduce claim in terms of overtreatment. Or if this person has just done a CT scan 6 months ago, you don't have to do another CT scan. So even before saying it's fraud, it's overtreatment, we should have the right data so that we can decide how to go forward. Okay? So one of the things that PT Medilink is doing is building that infrastructure, connecting hospital, patient, insurance company, to even our digital watch and everything. Okay? Now, I will skip this slide, but very quickly, it's all about detecting if there is an irregular claim, having a register. The register could be by insurance company or national database, okay, which can be held by the Ministry of Health. Okay, so setiap kali ada overpayment, overcharges, and things like what BPJS is doing now, you can have a national register. Internally at Medilink, we have our own register, okay, to say which hospital is happy to overcharge, which hospital is happy to overtreat. So we have those kind of register. And we have people who get sick every Monday. I'm sure we all come across, right, in our company. Every Monday they get sick. Oh, setiap kali ada public holiday, tanggal merah, besoknya sakit. So they are in our register. Okay, so those kind of things can be continuously enhanced. Then, in Medilink itself, we have an advisory board. Sebab saya bukan medis. So a medical decision must be made by a doctor. So we have qualified doctor, and we also discuss with the doctor at the hospital. Okay. This morning somebody also made a point saying, contoh dokter ingin lakukan suatu tindakan, tapi dari asuransi atau orang tua tidak mau lakukan itu. Nah kalau pasiennya meninggal, tanggung jawab siapa? Betul. So that becomes a challenge. So biasanya dari asuransi tidak menahan dokter. We do not stop the doctor from conducting the treatment. No, we don't. We only tell the doctor that such a treatment is not payable by the insurance company. Just like what BPJS is saying. Yang ini tidak ditanggung, tapi rumah sakit monggo lakukan aja treatmentnya. We are not stopping you. Okay, so that is where the misconception comes in. It says that, wah, insurance company tidak izinkan dokter, is stopping the doctor from doing the treatment. No, insurance company don't stop. Insurance company just say that the policy won't pay for it. If the patient can pay, or if the hospital want to do for free, silakan. Okay, now, so the next thing we do is rectify. Like I mentioned just now, if we know this hospital is always overcharging, then we classify the doctor as maybe bronze. Kita ada gold standard, silver dan bronze. Bronze itu rumah sakit yang memang chargesnya bisa sesuai kebutuhan financial dia, atau ada juga yang hari Minggu dokternya karena nggak jadi main golf, fee-nya 2 kali lipat, kan? Surgery-nya bisa 2 kali lipat. So those kind of thing we classify them as bronze. So patient ada hak. Saya mau ke rumah sakit kelas gold, bukannya kelas A paling tinggi, tapi layanannya lumayan, tagihannya masuk akal gitu, make sense, not overcharging. Okay. Then to prevent is where we come out with advice, education, kunjungi hospital very often to tell them, please be fair. End of the day is still a patient, is still a human being. Kalau perlu suntik sekali, kenapa suntik 2 kali gitu kan? Those kind of thing. If you give medicine for 5 days, why do you give over treatment? This kind of thing. So this is a continuous cycle. This has to, it's a living document. Okay. Now, this is just a summary slide to say that how is the role of BPJS going to be? How is the role of hospitals, insurance companies going to be, so that eventually it's a one-stop database. Okay, whether it's insurance, whether it's BPJS, whether it's self-paid, what we want is, me as an individual, I want to be able to carry my data with me. And that is what Satu Sehat is doing. I'm not marketing for Satu Sehat, but that is the reality. We must have rights to carry our own data. So if I go to a different hospital and the doctor says, let's do a lab test. Before that I say, 1 minute doc, this is my lab test from 3 months ago. Do you really need to do it? Okay, so I save my blood, I save my money. Okay, thank you. That's about my presentation. Thank you. Makasih. Yep.
Terima kasih Pak Raja. And then for the next panelist will be Pak Reza. Silakan Pak Reza. Your time is about 15 minutes Pak Reza.
Ya, selamat pagi. Good morning everyone. First of all, I will say thank you for having me today at AAUI to represent my company and all industry insurance and Indonesia Health Insurance Communication Forum. This is I will bring 4 slides maybe. So in this slide, I will show you some data from AAJI and AAUI. They are top 10 players in GWP for health insurance during 2022 and 2023. Their growth for both at the time, life insurance company and life side, total growth 9.6%, and for general insurance increase total 13.9%. If you look deeper in this table, in 2023, there's some insurance company fall and also hike significantly with GDP numbers. We also saw new players are heading and shift some company that already rise in 2022, but in 2023 they fall down. Some insurance company distribute their product in individual plan and family health plan in IDR and USD, and group health plan is still favorite in IDR in USD, and managed care also hospital cash plan. And their segment as individual, family, small, medium enterprise, medium, jumbo, corporate account, high net worth is still ongoing in the market. In distribution also, they choose for intermediaries, broker, agents, and direct business and bank assurance as channel distribution. But the fact during 2023 and 2024, some insurance companies reported closed their business. This is so interesting though. Many news in they close their business or they segmentize their business, review, reprice, rate, renegotiate, close provider, and because of fraud and abuse investigation. Some media report about overutilization caused this close the health insurance close. We also saw after pandemic, some hospitals applied unclear clinical pathway, especially when they are using high-tech tools and for non-invasive surgery or treat one-day surgery case to become 3 days inpatient, which will increase the bill for insurance. Sometimes also we found a huge difference for total price for one surgery compared to other hospital in some area. They cannot answer for the explainer. So that's why, like Raja said, so many cases that we cannot get the answer from the hospital because of the doctors and hospital have own authorization that we can intervene. So how we become agile and resilient or sustainable growth in this, especially for 2025. I believe some of you might already saw Willis Tower Watson and Marsh Mercer benefit surveys for medical inflation from 2022 and 2023. But until today, I believe it's more than 20 for the health medicine. Because the inflation or the hospital charge practically is higher than what Willis Tower Watson and Marsh Mercer benefit surveys. So I believe our government and with our Ministry of Health and OJK has concern with this situation. In some seminar and publication, they state and express will arrange some respective areas such as hospital standard national rate for treatment and medicine, and clear clinical pathway in terms of treatment and length of stay for critical illness, complex and major surgery, and one-day surgery. But we can wait continuation from this initiative after new president inauguration in this October with new cabinets. In parallel, what should we do for better health insurance? We can give a profit and sustainable growth for the company. Some company has released a lucid underwriting. They can open the coverage wide open, but didn't think about the risk after they open the term and condition. So we must have a prudent term and condition. Nowadays, the brokers or the agents always say subject to copy policy for health insurance policy, but it could be dangerous for us. So maybe if they said subject to copy policy, we should not follow all the policy. They also said budget pricing. So if you want to win this case, please follow the client budgets. It also can be wrong for our companies. And some company also have a short-term infrastructure. Paraja offering a new infrastructure that maybe can help and assist you for better health insurance. They can build a strong report and accuracy data to make a decision, especially when review some case fraud or rate review. Because from insufficient rate premium, can be also dangerous from the company itself. Some company also fail with cost saving in this area because of the lack of information. What should be do with cost saving? Maybe we can start with automation and paperless process. If we cannot intervene the hospital, we can make an automation, paperless. This can help the cost saving. Fraud and abuse. There's so many fraud and abuse during 2022 and 2023 with communication forum like Form Aksi and Fokai. We can have a discussion in terms of cases at hospital or a proposal that will be or tender that we can have sharing the data for better pricing. This is the last slide. In the last slide, we can see here what customer and competitor and yourselves. Customer always said no increment for each year. Maximum increment for the premium always 5%, 10%, but the inflation is high more than benefit increase every year, asking for discount and ask also for desired service. Competitors said we will support with lower price and existing versus existing benefit 1 or 2 times higher, bigger discount and criminal service. I mean criminal service, they can do anything, they can take your business anytime with offer promises, services that maybe can be happen in next day. Because and your sales come with 50 and 100% sales higher, same benefit, no discount, basic service. That's happened in the market recently. And the trends, some company already make API connection with some brokers to more easier in data exchange with claims and services. They also built some health mobile application, web portal, e-claim, telemedicine, coordination of benefit in BPJS, excellent service. And the future maybe after there is an idea to integrate Dukcapil, bank, police, and Kemenkes data share connection. When this is happen, integrated, maybe we can better do underwriting process and better pricing. Then some idea also come to the some discussion with AI pricing. So with AI pricing, we can precisely connect with this data and automate the pricing precisely. Okay, that's all from me, Pak. Thank you.
Okay, big applause for Mr. Reza. Thank you, Pak Reza. And then the fourth panelist will be Mr. Eric. Please, Mr. Eric, the stage is yours. Your time is about 15 minutes to present your presentation.
So, selamat pagi. Yeah. I'm sorry, please allow me to also present in English. I wish you a very warm welcome. Yeah, thanks for joining this session, and also thank you very much for the panelists. Before I go into the topic, I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate Babondan and the whole Ministry of Health, because this year is the 10th anniversary of the introduction of BPJS. And I think you have done a very good job, an amazing job. And the reason why I'm saying that is also looking into the recent history globally. There was no country that actually took that step. And looking at the size of Indonesia in terms of population with 270 million people, and also the geographical size, which is roughly the same as Europe, if you see how Indonesia stretches from north-south and east-west. So that is an amazing success story. Of course, health systems always have problems. And me as a German, I can also refer to the German system. It's over 100 years old. And I can assure you one thing, there was never ever 1 year where there were no problems with the health system. So I think that is just something we have to accept, that we have to constantly work and improve on our health systems, being it the public systems or the private insurance. So now coming to the presentation. And I would also like to focus on the risk of medical inflation. What can happen to the market, to the whole medical ecosystem, and looking at it not so much from a public insurer perspective, as Babondan did, but more from a private insurance perspective. And as we say, securing stability and unraveling risk, that is the topic of the rendezvous, and from that I also think it is very important to look at the health market. So I will go through a little bit faster because we don't have so much time. Looking at the global trends, so we see globally GDP growth is at around 3%. But when we look at the global health inflation, we are at 10%. So that means 3 times higher inflation than economic growth. So there is a gap. And basically, we have to accept that if this gap continues, we are moving into a crisis of the health systems globally. Of course, there are differences. When we look at Asia Pacific, we have an economic growth rate of around 5%, but we see that the health costs as well are actually also growing around 10%, so double. And coming back to Indonesia, and Babondan has already demonstrated that very well, we look at 5% GDP growth, but we're looking at 13% health cost growth. So that is something we have to tackle. And the main drivers for the health inflation are basically the advance in the medical technology as number one, which is a good thing, which is nothing we should be sad about or worry about, because this is what really drives us. And there are also a lot of developments that actually will have an effect of reduction of cost in the future with better technologies and with better treatments. The other part, and this is definitely where we can have an impact, is a systematic issue with the lack of integration between the primary care and then the specialized care and health facilities. And last but not least, there are 2 other more behavioral aspects. And this is over-servicing and over-utilization. And on the other hand, also lifestyle related. When we look at 50 years ago and now, the overall health situation of the population is just because of the lifestyle-related diseases different. So I will skip this part because I think we had this already in the previous presentation, and let me come rather to the private insurance data. When you look at this, this is the claim trend over the past 5 years, and you can see we are talking about almost an exponential growth. That means compared to the GDP growth, also compared to the increase in productivity, this is decoupled already. And what is the impact when we talk especially about the private insurers? So we have 2 segments where we are very strong. One is the EB, and the other one is the private health for the, let's say, higher segment. On the EB side, for companies, it is important to keep a balance with the HR budget and with the growth of profitability. So HR budgets cannot grow beyond profitability. A larger part is already covered by salary increase. And when then on top the health budgets for companies grow exponentially, there will be a point where companies will not be able to afford health insurance for their employees anymore. So I'm painting a little bit a black picture, but if we don't do anything, the development will go in that direction, and we see already that smaller SMEs are now switching completely to BPJS and not providing additional health care for their employees anymore because it is not affordable. On the private, let's say, high segment, we will also see that this segment will shrink more and more the higher the costs are, because people will also have to see, can I afford? And especially with an aging population and growing age, once you drop out of the normal working process and you retire, then there will come a question, can I still afford private health insurance? So these are the developments that we are facing, and if we don't do anything, then there is definitely a crisis upcoming in the future. So I have to say, just for information, I'm German. Obviously, I'm not Indonesian. And I also wanted to give a little bit of an overview over the German system, because the German health system is actually facing the same, exactly the same problems for many, many years as well. So we have a large public insurance sector equal to BPJS, and we have also the private insurance sector. And what is obvious is that the premiums in the public sector, but also in the private sector, are growing tremendously. And for many decades now, the government is trying to find a solution to that. So there were many, many activities, how to control overutilization, how to control also the cost increase in hospitals. But there were also a lot of mistakes made. And I think that is important to be aware of the mistakes, because some of the mistakes were actually leading to a decrease in overall health services in Germany. So we saw in recent years that many clinics in rural areas just closed down. That led to the situation that young families with kids had to drive 50 kilometers to just get treatment from a pediatrician. And these are situations that we definitely want to avoid. So therefore it is important to put a control on the cost increase. And coming back to the 4 elements that had been identified as the main drivers. So in terms of advances in the medical technology, I think this is something we have to embrace because that is a good thing. However, when we look into the integration between primary care specialties and other health facilities, I think here it is very important for private insurers to focus on 2 things. One is, of course, the product design itself. The product design should promote a certain path within the health system so that members not jump immediately to specialists, even if this treatment maybe is not necessary. And on the other hand, I think very important is collaboration with BPJS. And as Babondan rightly outlined already with the new regulations, I think that is a very important and good step forward. On the other side, we have the behavioral issues, and there is over-servicing and over-utilization. A part of over-servicing is caused by economics, because hospitals are also companies that need to create profits. But there's also another aspect, the responsibility of the doctor for their patients, which means as a doctor, I tend to treat better and more if I have the opportunity, because then I can make sure that nothing will happen to my patient. And that can also lead to a certain overutilization. On the other hand, we also noticed, especially in EB, we did a couple of surveys with EB members across many industries. There is still an attitude of saying, oh, this is my HR benefit, and it belongs to me, so I have to use the full benefit. So the awareness that this is insurance and the premium is paid for worst case scenarios and not for, let's say, doing health checkups and utilizing all the benefits. I think this is one part that we also have to bring into the market, into the awareness of people that insurance is not a benefit. Insurance is a safety network if really something happens. And here I think important is that the share of the cost is not only borne by the corporations, because people will not notice how much the health insurance actually costs the companies. So I think going forward it is very important that there is a participation of the members in the cost. That means the introduction of co-payment and other schemes so that people know there's always a cost involved. The more I do, and if I do unnecessary things, it costs the company, it costs me, but it costs society a lot of money that might be unnecessary. And of course, lifestyle, I think that is an issue that's not only related to any economic reasons. This is something in general that we should promote, to say we want to have a more healthy lifestyle and a more healthy population in general. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much, and sorry for rushing through.
Thank you, Pak Eric, for the very brief presentation about the cost of insurance. So the last but not least, Miss Desi will share the updates ya, Bu ya, terkait dengan informasi yang Ibu sampaikan sebelumnya untuk perkembangan di industri asuransi, khususnya di reasuransi. So, mungkin Bu Desi punya 10 menit Bu untuk bisa memberikan update-nya terkait dengan yang tadi Ibu sampaikan. Terima kasih Bu.
Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu, senang sekali, I'm happy to be here, talk with the other panelists. Dari semua presentasi yang sudah disampaikan, ada notes yang I'm going to bring up. Bring up ini penting karena based on my experience, sudah lebih dari 20 tahun bekerja di asuransi, kesehatan dan jiwa, karena because my background from the life insurance, dan sekarang saya di reinsurance company, which is one of my new experience actually regarding the life insurance and health yang menarik untuk saya adalah terkait asuransi kesehatan, dan ini akhirnya di bring up karena saya amazed gitu ya, karena saya sekarang di reasuransi dan saya handling adalah dari general insurance and also coming from life insurance. Itu term and conditionnya bisa beda. Sometimes is far away from the apa yang saya pelajari dulu di Pamjaki, di asuransi kesehatan. Itu bagaimana kita manage asuransi kesehatan, itu ternyata berbeda pandang antara umum dan jiwa. Itu yang terjadi setelah saya di reasuransi. Saya melihat term and condition is sometimes itu kita kok bisa bikin term and condition seperti ini. Seperti yang disampaikan mungkin dengan Bapak Reza tadi, makin kesini kan makin banyak ya Pak, fraud, abuse gitu. Kemudian experience saya pun, saya sampai ketemu beberapa orang yang mungkin quote and quote ya, ada yang mungkin familiar di sini dengan salah satu lawyer yang melakukan abuse gitu. Pada saat saya berbicara dengan beliau, bertanya apa yang membuat Anda begitu semangat gitu mengabuse insurance, and he said that it's depend to your product, produknya dokter dong yang diperbaiki, jangan kita yang disuruh menyalah-nyalahkan kita bahwa kita yang abuse asuransi. Tapi how about your product, bikinnya tuh seperti apa, kondisinya seperti apa, itu yang menjadi catatan buat kami. Jadi from all this presentation itu satu kata yang saya mau bring up adalah collaboration, kolaborasi antara seluruh stakeholder yang saya harapkan, karena ini ternyata bisa terjadi terwujud dengan yang previous yang sudah rilis sekarang tentang AJK. Terima kasih untuk regulator yang akhirnya mengeluarkan POJK baru terkait AJK, karena itu saya ingat perjuangannya dari 2016 bagaimana bertahap membahas mengenai free cover limit, kemudian mengenai SPAJ, sampai akhirnya sekarang keluar SEJOJK-nya. Nah, saya berharap ASKES pun juga sama. Nah, ini yang saya mau tekankan adalah kolaborasi dari semua stakeholder, karena ini pun terjadi di kami. Kebetulan saya juga masih aktif di medis. Kita berkumpul kemarin, nanti tanggal 20 besok itu akan ada pendirian Perhimpunan Dokter Jaminan Sosial dan Perasuransian Indonesia. Tujuannya adalah apa? Mungkin sedikit saya bacakan supaya teman-teman di sini juga bisa notes harapan dari dokter-dokter. So harapan kami jangan menyalahkan rumah sakit. Dokter, ini bukan karena saya dokter, tapi this is real ya Pak. We have to balance lah antara insurance and also the medical practitioner. Mereka ada message yang mau saya sampaikan adalah bahwa tantangan biaya kesehatan itu terus meningkat, dan biaya kesehatan di negara juga globally juga meningkat. Dan peningkatan ini yang harus dicatat, pertama adalah we have to aware that there is perkembangan teknologi medis, like Eric said, there is advancement in medical technology, and then growth-nya kita punya populasi. Kemudian yang patut dicatat adalah mengenai changing on disease pattern. Jadi perubahan pola penyakit yang bapak-bapak ibu di sini juga harus paham adalah, atau yang punya produk ya. Dulu mungkin kalau demam berdarah itu kita dulu belajar di kedokteran dengan tanda-tanda bintik merah, mimisan, demam sekian hari, itu sudah membuktikan bahwa itu demam berdarah. But now different gitu loh. Pemeriksaannya pun dulu kita cukup dengan melihat laboratorium trombositnya aja. Tapi kalau sekarang itu makin canggih pemeriksaan, ada NS1, ada IgGM, ada lagi cek khusus untuk tes dengue. Nah itu biayanya nggak murah gitu, tapi it's common right now gitu, semua rumah sakit supaya cepat, supaya akurat menggunakanlah medical technology yang which is expensive dari yang seperti biasanya. Nah itu yang mungkin saat ini kadang teman-teman yang tidak update itu nggak tahu kalau memang harganya naik. Kemudian length of stay, perawatannya jadi jauh lebih lama. After COVID juga, there is a lot of expense yang dulu-dulu nggak pernah ada. Tadi Pak Erik juga sampaikan there is a spike ya after COVID for the claim case atau length of stay-nya jadi lebih lama karena memang rumah sakit tuh ada juga ketentuan dari Kemenkes juga bahwa SOP-nya adalah pada saat pasien masuk apa yang harus dicek. Itu ada SOP yang diberlakukan dan itu adalah ketentuan dari Kemenkes juga ada namanya patient safety yang harus dijalankan pihak rumah sakit. Itu juga yang harus dipahami. Nah, jadi kemarin di sini kami akhirnya para dokter concern juga bagaimana asuransi kesehatan ini bisa lebih collaborate antara dokter-dokter yang di asuransi dan dokter-dokter yang di perhimpunan-perhimpunan. Saat ini ada yang forensik medical legal kita berkumpul, kemudian dokter yang perhimpunan untuk kesehatan kerja juga berkumpul, kemudian dokter-dokter yang kesehatan masyarakat juga berkumpul. Kami berkumpul berencana untuk mensupport teman-teman di insurance, itu bagaimana menyusun yang tadi Pak Reza juga sampaikan clinical pathway yang dibutuhkan, kemudian juga standar tarif yang dibutuhkan oleh pihak asuransi khususnya untuk bagaimana pricing produk insurance seperti itu.
Thank you Bu Desi for the updates. Thank you very much for the 5 panelists here. The discussion for the 5 panelists were very useful for broadening our insight into the health business. So we starting with how the regulation of the cost difference Pak Bondan to support the health growth in private insurance. So the give the pattern for the private insurance to stimulate the cost of difference with the coordination, and also for the Pak Reza so that the facts the insurance company report close their group of health business ya Pak ya tadi about market, and then also health insurance must adapt with new technology, and Mr. Raja is also raised the issue about the fraud mitigation and how do fraud mitigation must be agile, and also focusing on health benefit ecosystem with the new technology and AI. And Mr. Eric also focuses in increasing on health insurance, the health insurance, and give us some solution with adapting new technologies, and then collaborating with BPJS, and then also the incorporating health lifestyle in insurance product. And from Ms. Desi, we must take the lesson that we have new from the perhimpunan panjang tadi ya Bu ya.
Perhimpunan Dokter Jaminan Sosial dan Perasuransian Indonesia.
That's the point out. So we have the message here that increased cost must face with adapting new technologies. So this is a very interesting. I have before we go to the audience question and answer, I have some question related to the materials Bapak Ibu here. Maybe it's for the all panelists. The question is about in what ways can agile risk management improve operational resilience in healthcare insurance businesses? Maybe from your perspective, you can share to us about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu. It's a very good question. Okay, I think we are all here saying the cost is going up. Now, we always say that the worst thing you can do when there is risk is do nothing. So if you sit and expect something to change by itself, it's not going to. Now, you need data. We live in a world where data is so accessible, it's there, it can be easily analyzed. So to answer your question, basically, use that data, engage the stakeholders, and come out with concrete plan. This is where regulators like OJK and our friends in Kemenkes can come together and assist the industry, especially with the doctors, to come up with maybe a long-term plan to address these leakages. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Raja. From Mr. Reza?
Yeah. Thank you. So I believe also some of company already have data, claims, premiums that they can give best support in 10 years or 5 years. So maybe we can evaluate the pricing with claims, what segment that we can choose in the market. Because when someone offering you jumbo cases, but the company says, the company data it says, you not better, you will get worse in this jumbo case. This will not come to as your new business. So maybe you must play with the small medium enterprise only or medium enterprise only. So many cases in the market, maybe you can take tender USA Embassy or other jumbo cases around 20 billion or 30 billion that will hurt your company. So with this evaluation from rates, premium and claims, yeah, you can choose in the market the best segment in the market, yeah, for your company, maybe small, medium company, or even until medium.
Okay, thank you, Pak Reza. For Mr. Eric.
Yeah, I think the way how we analyze fraud, I think that was already very well explained. I think important is the next step, meaning what do we do after we have detected the fraud? And here it's important to not make an economic decision, because in many cases insurance companies make economic decisions saying, oh, the legal cost to follow up might be higher than the fraud cost itself. But here in Sompo we take a completely different approach, and we say we don't care about the legal cost, we will follow up any fraud, because it is also very important to give a sign to people that commit fraud, you won't get away with it. And I can only appeal to everyone to implement these same policies in order to not encourage claims, or to not, to not encourage any fraud, or to not let people off the hook if it is proven that there's fraud.
So thank you, Ms. Eric. You focus on a fraud cost, yeah. Yeah. Bu Desi, can you share your opinions about that? And then the last maybe Pak Bondan, yeah, as the Minister of Kesehatan, yeah.
Okay, from me is we have to increase our transparency. Yeah, transparency in data, yeah. My concern, because in reinsurance companies, sometimes the insurance, they don't want to give us all the data detail, yeah, include the NIK, gitu. Because we are going to help them, we have to going to our clients to improve the data by our AI capability in our company. So we can help them to analyze about the fraud and abuse that talked by Pak Raja. And then the other is about the collaboration. Come back again with collaboration. Collaboration not only between internally, but also with others stakeholder, regulator, association, and then the communication forum that we have currently in insurance industry.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Desi. So for the 4 finalists, we have the several ways that can resilience operational in healthcare insurance business. It's about the cost increase from Mr. Raja, and then data utilization, how about we use the new technology for the data utilization, and then Mr. Reza said that best segment choice, right? And then the fraud cause and the transparency of the data and useful of the data for the new information, and then for the prevent the risk. So this is for from the practitioner, Pak Bondan as the regulator. So regarding the opinion from our four panelists, what kind of, or maybe we can say that in what ways the regulation promote the transparency, as mentioned with Ms. Desi before, and then the fairness in the allocation of health costs, and then how the government monitor and evaluate the effectiveness in practice.
Okay, thank you. As a regulator, I think I want to address the last question first. Our relationship with the BPJS and the OJK is become more and more intimate. So now we are forced to establish routine meetings every 3 months to, I don't know, routine check-in, what's going on, what can be improved, what is the new problem that we have. As Eric mentioned, I agree with you, health system always have problems. So the things that we can do, I think to sum up all the panelists here is, I agree with you, Bu Desi, the collaboration, the transparency. This is so important for us, for the regulators. So this might sound cliche, you know, the evidence-based policy, but it's hard to do, especially on the health sector, as we already admit here, one of the most in transparency sector. The asymmetrical information is happen everywhere. The data becomes a valuable asset for us. We need data. We need to do better analysis so we can create a better policy. So data is big. For example, the data and the analysis is like a diagnostic system in the medical world. If you get better on diagnostic, you can have precision of medicine. You have a precision of treatment. So that's the thing. That's the analogy that I can say to all of you. We very encourage transparency. I know this is a hard thing to do. It's like I think we need a set of regulation to force this transparency to become happen. We already start this by launching the Undang-Undang Kesehatan yang baru. We try to, what you call it, open the black box in some, you know, you get my point. So this is the start. This is how we aim. We want to create a healthier ecosystem, especially in the health sector. I think that's all, Bu. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Bondan. So it's correlate with Ms. Desi statement, yeah, about that transparency data and then the use of the data to prevent the risk of the insurance business, in health insurance business. So we have a question from the live. We have 2 questions, but if participant in this room has the question, you can raise your hand and then ask to the 4 panelists, 5 panelists here. Is there any question from the audience here, from this room? Before I read the question from the chat. No? Okay, sepertinya sudah paham ya Bapak Ibu ya. So we have 2 questions from the live chat. The first is, in what ways does the regulation promote transparency in the health cost sharing policy? How does government monitor evaluate the effectiveness? This is for Pak Bondan, yeah. It's okay. Already answered the question. And then the second one is, how can insurance company balance the need for the efficient claim process with the need for the true fraud detection without delaying legitimate claims? This is maybe for Pak Raja first, right? Okay, thank you. Silakan Pak Raja.
Thank you. I think that is the general question and complaint, that if you use insurance, you go to a hospital, you can end up waiting an hour or 5 hours and so forth. Now, the whole situation is simply because of lack of communication, okay? Because currently there's a lot of paper moving between the hospital and the insurance company or the third-party administrator. As what we proposed earlier through MediLink, we are talking about a solution that has already been implemented for the last 1 year. It's a seamless, straight-through process using simple solutions like QR code. That means a patient goes to the hospital. If you are from, say, Sompo, if you are using the MediLink solution, then you just go there, you see a QR code and you scan, and your information is immediately uploaded into the hospital as well as the insurance company, and a guarantee letter is produced within 30 seconds. So that would reduce the time spent waiting for admission or discharge. But again, what I said was in the ideal world, right? But not all cases are going to be 30 seconds. Karena part of the decision is of course based on your insurance term and condition. You might have waiting period, you might have first year exclusion. So I don't want to give the impression that using a good system is going to be perfect, no. But the product design, as what we discussed earlier, like what Ibu mentioned just now, it's your product. How do you design it? What sort of benefits that the insurance company want to offer so that the public are aware that if I buy this insurance policy, it's going to be like using a credit card. I can go there, throw the card and get all the benefit. But you pay $10,000 a month, right? It could be an expensive policy. But if you use a cheaper policy, then the process will be longer. So it's a matter of reality, but most importantly, transparency. That means the user knows what they are buying, the system enables it, and the insurance company, just like most of my colleagues here from the insurance industry, we want to pay a claim. No insurance company is selling a product and hoping we don't have to pay. No. Insurance companies want to pay the claim provided it's within the terms and conditions. Right? So it's the same. So using a good system would cut down the time, improve transparency. Like in MediLink, what we do is, the moment the patient scans the QR code, the patient gets a notice on the handphone. The insurance company gets a notice in the system. And if it's got an agent, the agent gets a notice. So everybody is aware. We have such a patient in which hospital. So it's really real time. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you, Pak Raja.
Thank you.
Maybe for the other panelists, want to have share the thoughts about that question, Pak Reza.
Additional from Pak Raja. Yeah, Pak Raja developing infrastructure that will be help assist us to provide a system for better health insurance, especially to catch the fraud cases at front. But more important also, fraud comes from trends and repeated trends. So we must do also close claim review. Close claim review can reveal that trends happen at the moment, as the beginning. Can also, we can take some cases from close claim review, in my experience, we can take 50 or 20 cases that committed fraud. So this will be from quality assurance from each insurance company.
Okay, quality assurance from the insurer, right? Mr. Eric, maybe you have share your thoughts about that questions.
Yeah, I think it's a very important issue, and there's always the balance between how diligently we check and how fast we can process. Nowadays, there's the advantage of the electronic processing, but I think we have already a lot of island solutions that work very well, but what we should really go for is to find a standard for the market, a standard that all companies accept, that all hospitals accept, and which is not linked to technology, but linked to a certain data standard, so that every company can issue, let's say, a health card or whatever, and it's usable wherever you go. That's a long way to go, but I think if we look at to a final solution of that problem, that's where we should aim at.
Thank you, Mr. Eric. So from Budesi, maybe you can share your thought about that questions.
Yes. Okay. From my point of view, back to the product lagi sih, but back to the product. If you want to have fast claims and accurate claim, back to the product you create.
Okay.
Jangan membuat produk yang akhirnya your operation team cannot do it.
Oh, so basically same as with Mr. Raja, yeah? So for Pak Bondan, as a regulator for the fraud, is it the same condition in the BPJS or is there another point of view from you, Pak Bondan?
Yeah, I think the situation it's similar between the private and the public health insurance. We also have challenges. I think the challenges are also similar, maybe in different, scale. The point is, there are a lot of things that we need to adjust. We are facing the same challenges now. We need to make adjustment now. So by this decree that I disseminated earlier, the government wants to encourage the private sector to create a better product by giving certainty. Back then, you may charge, or you need to pay, Pak Raja, you need to pay a claim for 500%, 1,000%, or maybe worse, 3,000%, as the data show. But now, we try to give a cap, we try to standardize. You are going to pay maximum 125%. It's a good concept, but me personally see there's still a hole that we need to fix. For example, what if the hospital do not want to pay, want to be paid 200%? So it will cost us an additional out of pocket, right, from the people. So there's still a hole that we need to fill, we need to fix. But this is a start. We monitor and evaluate these programs in this policy, collaboration with the BPJS, the OJK, and I believe we need to involve a discussion with the private too, so we can have a better policy, better regulation that create, once again, the healthier ecosystem.
Thank you, Pak Bondan. So give a big applause for our 5 panelists here. Thank you, Bapak Ibu. So thank you to our esteemed panelists for sharing such insightful and valuable perspective on agile risk management in transforming the health business. So this discussion has truly highlighted the importance of data, the transparency, and then also the products itself, and then the innovation, adapt with the new technologies, and collaboration. Yeah, collaboration with the stakeholders, as mentioned before, in managing the ever-evolving risk in the healthcare. So I hope today's discussion provide you all here with the valuable takeaways that can be applied in our organization and also in promote the health insurance business. On behalf of the panel and myself, I'd like to thank you for all the participation and engagement for the 5 panelists, and then let's continue this important conversation as we work together to navigate the future of healthcare with the confidence and agility. Thank you very much and enjoy for the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to our panelists and moderator for leading such a fruitful discussion this morning. We kindly invite panelists and moderator to take a photo session. Please join us to capture this memorable moment. Kami persilakan untuk dapat bergabung di sesi foto. Mohon tetap di atas panggung, Bapak. Baik. Once again, our panelists and moderator for Risk Management Forum. We will take a group photo first before everyone back to their seat. Boleh kita pandu. Allow us to lead this group photo on the count of 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. What a fruitful discussion. Thank you for our panelists for sharing your expertise and knowledge to all of us. I'm sure all of the participants gaining a lot of fresh and new insights from the forum. Bapak Ibu, untuk materi presentasi dapat Anda akses dengan cara men-scan QR yang berada di name badge Anda. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now transitioning to the Growth Forum. Selanjutnya diinformasikan pada saat sesi Q&A nanti, hadirin sekali lagi bisa menyampaikan pertanyaan dengan cara melakukan scan QR code yang tertera pada layar LED. And later for this forum, you can submit your question for the Q&A session by scanning the QR code on the LED screen right now. Ladies and gentlemen, now we move to Growth Forum, compulsory model third-party liability insurance gaining competitive advantage. Allow us to introduce our moderator for this forum. This session will be moderated by Miss Duniantri Wanangsari, Head of Casualty PT AIG Insurance Indonesia. So please join me in welcoming Miss Duniantri Wanangsari to the stage. And now allow us to invite our panelists for this session. The first one, Indonesia Financial Group Progress, Mr. Ibrahim Khalilur Rahman. To our moderator, the stage is yours.
Thank you to our MC. Good afternoon to all the participants, and hopefully you still can enjoy this conference. I'm Wena. I'm delighted to be a moderator for these sessions. And for the second sessions in this conference, I will bring a topic, gaining competitive advantage from the compulsory motor third-party liability. As we all know that now we are facing the upcoming regulations for the compulsory motor third-party liability insurance, where it has been established in some ASEAN countries. And however, it is actually not only a regulatory requirement right now, but it's also an area where insurers can differentiate themselves in an increasingly competitive market from these new regulations. So today, we will dive into the challenge, the strategies, and the innovations that can turn into an opportunity to helping the insurers and also the community to be ready in facing these upcoming regulations. Our panelists today is the experts, and they will share about their insights on the key trends, the reinsurance solutions, and the customer's approach, and also the operational innovations that are shaping the future of the sector. For these sessions, we will have the three panelists right now. So without further ado, because we only have limitations in our times, so I will let the first panelist from the Indonesia Finance Group, Mr. Ibrahim Khalilur Rahman. Mr. Ibrahim is a senior economist in IFG, and he will share his insight about how to unlocking the potential of motor third-party liability. To Mr. Ibrahim, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is such a pleasure for us to be here, and my name is Ibrahim Khalilur Rahman. I'm from Indonesia Financial Group Progress. As a research think tank, it is such a wonderful experience for us to be here. Usually, researcher is just sitting on the desk, learning about the data and running the model. But today we have experience to meet all of industry players so that we have opportunities to learn and to match between what the data tells us and what the reality checking, sometimes tell different story. So the topic I'm going to talk today is the building a safer future, the significance of compulsory motor third-party liability insurance in Indonesia. So this is what we are facing every day, the hustle and bustle of Indonesians' road traffic. And sometimes, I don't know if you experience this, but I think 24 hours we have to experience this pressing environment in Indonesia, pretty much everywhere. And by this experience, we can expect that traffic accident is becoming an unavoidable situation. But can you predict where is the most, where is area which are hit hard by the accident? So based on the data, the economic impact of traffic accident is very big. And regions such as Yogyakarta, Jawa Tengah, Sumatera Utara, Sumatera Selatan are all experiencing big economic loss due to traffic accident. And then if we combine the data with the mortality and fatalities due to the accident, so region like Sumatera Utara, I'm sure everyone here experienced, the challenge when driving in Medan, for instance. They experience the hardest and the biggest fatalities due to traffic accident. The question is, when we do the modeling, in fact, we find that despite accident happens everywhere, despite accidents seemingly happen in particular area, but there is no correlation that accident happens in high density of insurance penetration. So that the question becomes, who will bear the losses for those areas where where people have very low density of insurance penetration? So as we know that, accident can be hitting not only, direct impact to the family, but also the losing of future generations due to inability to keep the family floating. So the question about the economic loss is becoming very crucial, especially in developing regions like Indonesia. So by definitions, if we refer to the World Bank and other previous studies, MTPL, motor third-party liability insurance, is insurance coverage that protect insurance against liability of bodily injury and or third-party damage for the properties resulting from the accident. Many countries have adopted this in different way, but in best practices, MTPL will cover both body and damages due to the accident. And the urgency can be seen that despite the density of motor vehicles is less in developing region, but the accident in the developing region is almost 8 times than those of industrialized countries. So having mandatory third-party liability is becoming crucial. We have to avoid this condition of creating unattended family due to the accident happens. And in Indonesia, we have already mandated by Undang-Undang P2SK that one of them has been directed towards introducing this type of insurance to ensure the longevity and the continuation of family due to unforeseen circumstances. Now, if we refer to the best practice, which is in European countries where the penetration of MTPL has been quite massive, we can see a negative correlation between the density of MTPL and the occurrence of death toll from the traffic accident. It means that best practice has led towards the understanding that MTPL is an agenda that cannot be delayed due to the significant importance to prevent further fatalities. We do some basic regression technique, and this also leads to understand that MTPL is in fact a significant driver to reduce a likelihood of traffic accident in many countries. As I mentioned to you before, the variety and coverage of MTPL varies between countries. Majority of them, such as in Malaysia, Australia, Canada, Japan, and Korea, cover both bodily injury and property damage, but they have different coverage, which means that the business process of MTPL might be different when being implemented in Indonesia. Now, what are the challenges? In our analysis, the challenges concern with 2 aspects: the market structure and the trust issue. The market structure means how should we design the program? Do we see that MTPL falling under market failure, which means that it should be generated by government per se with specific government intervention? So that particular organization will be assigned, and we already anticipated that it might not be creating profitability. And what would be the ideal business process? Who will do this and that? How can we distribute the tasks of different stakeholders in the business process? And the second aspect is how can we gain trust? Because even we have already Jasara Harja, and we can see that for mandatory contribution, it is still probably less than 60 or 70%. So introducing new scheme like this might require deep understanding on how to build trust from society at large. I'll start with the first aspect about the typical business process and market structure. If we divide countries between those implementing purely private and those implementing mixed scheme that combining between government and private, then we see that there is no silver lining. That particular model will lead towards more efficiency and pretty much lower loss ratio. We cannot see that perspective. Rather, loss ratio tends to be volatile in private sector, probably because of market driven, that market will prefer towards cheaper premium, for instance, so that it will be driving towards switching from one provider to another. But in mixed scheme, loss ratio is relatively stable, but premium growth is limited. So that's probably pros and cons when we implement 2 different options. Either we provide them driven by private, or we provide them as part of government intervention, knowing that this program might be not profitable if you look at the average of loss ratio, which is quite big in many countries, irrespective of whether they are using private or mixed. The second aspect is about building trust. So we try to have creative approach to measure the acceptance of this program. As we know, Indonesia is very unique. Yeah, it's very unique. Who is the most powerful in Indonesia is social media. Yeah, when the program is implemented and then citizens respond negatively in social media, then even for more robust program like Tapera, it's easily be cancelled due to pressure from all stakeholders. So in this aspect, we try to measure the trust issue in some countries who are already implementing MTPL. We do text analysis based on some machine learning and comparing the data in some countries such as Malaysia, Australia, Canada, Japan, and Korea. And the result is quite striking that in countries where the program is accepted with positive sentiment, yeah, from citizens, then they can expect greater penetration and greater acceptance, yeah, a greater collection rate. But in some countries where negative sentiment arise, then we will expect negative growth or limited growth of MTPL premium. So I think as MTPL might shift from, you know, private-led market towards more policy-oriented, it's very important for us, industry player, to go together and, you know, to convey this to the government that without any acceptance and positive sentiment, I think we cannot expect that this program will be floating, because we are now in the period where, you know, declining of middle income happening for 5 consecutive months. We are experiencing deflation, yeah, which means that purchasing power is going down all the time. So introducing new things that relate to spending is not popular agenda. So that this is probably something we have to anticipate. So having said that, what will be the strategies? I think this part should be something more conceived, yeah, and understandable for all parties. Strengthening regulatory framework is important thing. Insurance providers should introduce, you know, efforts to strengthen enforcement of MTPL. Some countries, for instance, in China, they have very harsh commitment, yeah, to establish the program. The second aspect is technology adoption, where we can, for instance, measure the credibility of cars and motor vehicles. So that probably we can introduce a specific scheme that relates risk profile with the premium for each registered motor vehicles. We also, probably the most important thing is to increase public awareness, because without public awareness, something that relate to public will not go in sustainable way. So as we mentioned before, countries who are already implementing MTPL, usually those who are able to reap the benefit of the doubt that if you are not be involved in the program, then you are left behind. So as we already presented before, usually they have very positive sentiment towards the implementation of the program. But those who are not able to get those sentiment, then probably it will be the source of negative premium growth due to you know, an inability to achieve economy of scale of the program. Of course, product innovation is important, exploring non-traditional distribution channel, which is not relying on person-to-person and the necessity to come to the office. That will be important to promote more adoption. And fraud risk assessment is also important, as already discussed as well on the topic of medical. We think that it will be the same for motor vehicles. So fraud risk detection is important, yeah, because as we know, Indonesia is rich of culture that you know, sometimes lead towards moral hazard and asymmetric information. So that's pretty much what we share from the study. Last but not least, I take this opportunity to promote our agenda as well. On the 15th, we will have a conference at IFG discussing not the same topic, but if you miss speakers from AAUI here, Pak Oke is also presenting, Pak Heru is also presenting. So please, all of you are invited to join our FG conference next week on Tuesday. Seats are available, dedicated for all AAUI members. So see you on Tuesday. Thank you, and back to moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Ibrahim, for very insightful presentations around the challenges and also the potentials of the motor TPL insurance. So we'll continue with the second speaker from the ASEAN Council of Bureau, Mr. Nguyen Antoine. Mr. Nguyen is the chairman from the ASEAN COB, and he will share about the ASEAN Compulsory Motor Insurance System, call it ACMI. To Mr. Nguyen, I will hand over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So on behalf of ASEAN Council Bureau, so I will share you the compulsory motor insurance system for ASEAN countries. So firstly, I'd like to thank our colleagues from IFG. It's a very informative sharing, and it's very good to us also to apply for ASEAN countries. So the background of these ASEAN countries, COB, and what is the compulsory for motor insurance in ASEAN countries. So we back to 23 years ago when we have a meeting in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and we have signed an agreement framework to facilitate the goods and chances of agreement. And then we have this signed by the finance minister of the 10 members of that country, ASEAN countries. And the objective of this signing of this agreement is to collaborate and to integrate and harmonize the transport system within the region and improve the system efficiency in order to facilitate the seamless and non-stop movement of people and goods and integrate with the global economy. So we have the protocol number 5 signed back to 23 years ago in Malaysia. So it's the first background. And the second thing to implement this initiative by the ASEAN countries. So ASEAN established ASEAN Council Bureaus, named COB, and under Article 11 of the Protocol number 5. And this COB consists of people from all national bureaus of member countries. And the roles and responsibilities of ASEAN COB is to coordinate and to supervise the legal, technical, and admin and financial operation of national bureaus of all ASEAN countries, and to ultimately support the operation of Protocol number 5 and accommodate the implementation of ASEAN transport agreements. So the main idea here is that we are here is a COB is to implement the Protocol number 5. And we have to supervise the legal and technical framework, because you know that each ASEAN country has a different legal framework to the motor insurance, like we just heard from IFC colleagues on the Indonesia experience on the motor third-party liability insurance. So I think every country ASEAN has different legal framework. So the COB of ASEAN is to harmonize and to coordinate to find a way that we can have the same language legally. And secondly, you have to supervise the technical issue, because it's, we have to find a way that each country have the same policy policy holder. It's the second background. And so basically for this, the requirement for the vehicle operators that if the transport vehicles must have the compulsory motor insurance of third-party liability, you can see the TPL, of the transit country of the destination country before you crossing the border. So the operator of such vehicle have to purchase the required insurance policies. So once the purchase is completed, the insured will receive the insurance certificate or the blue card for the whole country in the transit movement. And the insurance document previously is the hard copy, and now is a e-copy, have to be carried in the vehicle for inspection at the border and also along the roads by the competent authorities of the countries involved in the transit movement. It's a requirement for the vehicle operators. And now, we see that we have the integration to the ACMI system. ACMI is short for ASEAN Compulsory Motor Insurance System. It's an electronic system. And the ACMI system serves as a data hub and allows member states to issue the insurance policy, and is officially employed by 10 ASEAN countries and to implement protocol number 5. And so far, we have 5 ASEAN SU members have fully integrated for the online purchase of the third-party liability motor insurance with ACMI system, namely Thailand is the first country, Singapore is the second country. And in the last 2 years, we see that 3 more countries have joined this system. It's Vietnam, Myanmar, and Cambodia. And now Malaysia has also committed the integration, and will go live hopefully this year. And while the remaining ASEAN COB members are at different stages of integration. And as far and for your information, Indonesia, they already have prepared the data package and sent to the Thailand. Thailand is the admin system, administrators of the system, and I think Indonesia plans to go live next year. And the last update is for Philippines. The integration of the third-party liability motor insurance online purchase is not required because the Philippines, they had no land border with other countries. And now we can see we have 3 sub-blocks. Sub-block 1 is we have Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. And sub-block 2 we have Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand. And sub-block 3 you have Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei, and Philippines. So we have the 3 sub-blocks, and we have some country with blue color. You can see this blue color is mean they have already online. So the operator can buy the insurance certificate online. And in sub-block 2 we have 4 countries going online already, except Laos, PDR. And for second sub-block we have Thailand online already. You have Singapore online already, and you have Malaysia that will go online maybe this year or early next year. And for the sub-block 3, that we have Indonesia here, and Indonesia I think in progress. I think in very positive progress, and they you can go online next year. And I just discussed with our colleagues here in the conference. I know that in Indonesia we have some connection with Malaysia, and I hopefully that when Malaysia and Indonesia go online, so more policy will be issued. And to purchase the cross-border motor insurance, so I think now when you go online to the ACMI website, I think it's very simple because it's digitalized and it's simplified. And we can see that we have the website ASEAN COB, and you click on the website, and we can easily find the country you want to go to. For example, now you are in Indonesia and you want to go to Malaysia. You click on Malaysia, we can find the way and how you can buy the insurance certificate on to the destination country. And here we have only 5 steps, very simplified 5 steps to perform the insurance policy purchase. And blue card is a document to evidence that the existence of the compulsory motor vehicle insurance policy has been already issued by the ACMI system. And we click on the 5 steps, and we get the certificate to our email, to your account. And you also pay by your credit card online. And then I think the system has been already updated from paper to e-copy blue card. And it's very simplified. And the last thing is like has been shared by policeman IFG. The cooperation is very important to implement the protocol number 5 by our 10 ASEAN country members. So to implement this, we have 3 ways. First, we have the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, to promote the transportation of vehicles and goods among ASEAN member states. MOU is on cooperation regarding the compulsory insurance for cross-border motor vehicle have been signed among ASEAN national bureaus. So it is the first way to promote the cooperation. The second way, you have some specific cooperation agreement, like some neighboring bureau have also signed specific cooperation agreements to facilitate the vehicle operation purchase of cross-border vehicles. Example, we have Vietnam with Cambodia, and Vietnam with Laos, we have some specific cooperation agreement. And we have also annual meeting to discuss mutual concern issue at the level of ASEAN COB meeting, also of the working group meeting of ASEAN COB. And the last one to promote the cooperation is the experience in Indonesia. So I think the cooperation to communicate and to raise public awareness is very important, because you know that people now, when you travel across borders, so many people, they don't know about the existence of this ACMI system. So I think how to communicate and to raise public awareness is a very important issue. And second thing is the enforcement by the legal framework, because you know that ASEAN countries have already signed protocol back to 20 years ago. And now the legal is very clear, but how to enforce the legal framework that have already signed by our ASEAN countries members. We need to support from the regulators. For example, when you cross the border, so normally you have to show you certificate of insurance, and that should be verified by the border gate officials. So I think how to enforce it is very important. And the last one is to have a more active participation of in the ASEAN system by the member state. Like I mentioned that now so far we have only 5 countries going online. So hopefully in the next 2 years, so we have more countries going online, so that we can have more digitalized products and more simplified products that people can be all informed of the ACMI system and the third-party insurance for the people. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen, to share about the ICMI frameworks to us. And now it's time for our last speakers to share his insight about the solutions and the structures from the reinsurance solutions. So right now, I will hand over to Mr. Erwin Basri, the Director of Operations for the Tugu Reinsurance in Indonesia. I will hand over to you, Mr. Erwin.
Okay, thank you, Wenang. Okay. Let's take a look this figure display on the screen. I got data from the AAUI, the showing growth, the premium versus the claim is about from the 2017 and up to 2023. It's about when the 2020 is pandemic periods is going down and rebounding, and it's about the 2021. Insurance tend to be saturated because the first quarter 2020 and 24 is the premium is about 550 billion rupees. Maybe it will not change for. It's not different from 2023. Yeah. The gross claim look like gross claim ratio still provide profit to proceeding. I think this is should be take note into that calculation. That should be we have considered the we have into calculation for the acquisition cost and the technical reserve. Yeah. Okay, mostly the premium in motor premium in Indonesia is coming from is a new vehicle that's born by leasing. Okay, This is the unique statistic from the reinsurance, that insurance versus reinsurance. Yeah, we can take a look at the thin orange line. Yes, this is the reinsurance portion, which is the 0.36% on average for 7 years. And we see for the 2024, the treaty contract between reinsurers and ceding for the motor insurance has also decreased. Yeah, and it will be predict that ceding retention will continue to increase along with stipulation the POJK to 23 regarding the minimum equity limit starting in 2026 and 2028. Okay, that's the figure. This is which is insurance versus the reinsurance, and then what should be reinsurance act for the how interact for the MCPL reinsurance. Yeah, it's I think the nature of risk and regulatory enforcement is coming from the high severity and low frequency is coming resulting in often driven by several accidents resulting in catastrophic injuries and fatalities. This severity claims can put significant pressure to insurers, yeah, and then the on long tail risk, especially involving bodily injury and disability, can take years to settle. In some cases, claim can extend for decades due to ongoing medical costs, loss of income and compensation, and for lifelong care. This creates long tail liability, which require insurer and insurer to hold reserve over an extended period. And then the regulatory impact, which can limit the ability of insurers to charge premium reflective of the actual risk. Yeah. Reinsurer may therefore be critical in ensuring the solvency of insurance in market where pricing is kept or controlled, but claim frequency and severity remain unpredictable. Okay. And then, this about the aggregation of risk and market volatility. Aggregation can make the volatility to insurance balance sheet. Yeah. So that's why we need the insurers to stabilize to absorbing this aggregate risk. So what the challenge for the reinsurers? Yeah. Reinsurers often face a challenge in pricing MCPL reinsurance due to limited inconsistent data and claim frequency and severity. Yeah. Particularly in a market where MCPL is heavily regulated, insurer may not always provide detailed claims data, which is complicated the reinsurer ability to model risk accurately. And the next challenge is geographic and legal variation. This is very significant, very significant by country, do different legal system and compensation rules and driving condition. Reinsurer must account for this variation when underwriting motor TPL risk globally. Then impact of the increasing claim costs, rising medical costs and inflation and change and legal framework can drive up the cost of the claim in TPL insurance, yeah, putting an additional pressure on the insurer to end their reinsurers. For example, in some countries, court ruling have led to significantly higher compensation for victims, which can be challenging to predict and plan for. Insurers often track legal trend and cost inflation in MTL claims to adjust their pricing capacity allocation. Okay, this is reinsurance solution. It is the conventional way how the insurer can mitigate the risk is what through the excess of loss quota share and stop loss treaty and the insurance pool. Okay, next. And we have future, we take future trend in one of the challenges for the reinsurers is about telematic and use-based insurance. Yes, it's about the application which can be installed in a vehicle, and insurance can where premium is calculated based on driving behavior. Reinsurers may benefit from more granular data, which could help in more accurate pricing and risk assessment. And then the next challenge is automated and electric vehicle, which is reinsurer will need to adapt to this evolving risk. Yeah. Okay, next. Also, how the role competition in motor third-party liability. Across the world, motor MTPL is conducted in a variety framework. There is range from monopoly insurer and then set standard price to relatively unconstrained and competitive free market. Between this extreme lies a range of interventions and semi-interventionist arrangement. Regardless of level competition, MTPL pricing is heavily influenced by political economy issue, as this insurance is usually a material expense for the driver and vehicle owner. And then, so next the role competition, which is the centrally priced option. Maybe if the central pressure to hold pricing gain, the upper hand in inevitable inconsequence in that there will be losses for the insurer. It is always hard for regulator to raise commercial vehicle insurance pricing to economically viable level. This was the case in India, Brazil, Turkey, and Turkey. This experience is common wherever MTPL pricing is fixed centrally. The pressure to keep pricing below economically viable level tend to gain the upper hand. This usually leads to an economically undesirable outcome. Then we set a sample in South Africa. Yeah, the S1 successfully solution is the centrally fixed insurance price that is not subject to massive political pressure. South Africa, the principal insurance fund levy is collected at the petrol pump or SPBU in Jakarta. A portion of a tax levy that is collected by the government from all road users is channeled to the government road accident injury compensation fund. This is approach raise a surprisingly attractive outcome. Let's say the more petrol you buy, the more you pay toward the nation MTPL insurance costs. Yeah. This has a common sense user pay fairness. And next, so how about the role competition, the free market option? The free market price option has many good qualities, but it is not a panacea. It is best to contrast some leading in advantage with some key disadvantage here. The free market has a number of undeniable theoretical advantages like this is homogeneous risk underwriting, which is a very large number of risks are broadly homogeneous in character, given current actuarial technology and adequate database. Yeah. The free market should be efficient at pricing risk and marketing accordingly. And then administrative efficiencies, the existence of large volume pool of risk with substantial segment of high quality risk provide incentive to insurer to develop all type of administrative efficiencies. Yeah. The development first the use of the telephone or sales tool, and then the internet has created quantum leap inefficiencies for society. This is keeping down the cost of MTPL insurance. Next, and about the claim, yes, given a very strong incentive to improve claim management. And then regulatory efficiencies, the market, the stronger and leading insurers in free market become the more their behavior fits standardized pattern. And then the important thing is about consumer responsibility, which is the where there is for the common consumer respond to imagine that responsibility has been assumed by the state that no further effort required on their part. Okay, next. I think from the insurance perspective, compulsory MTPL insurance present is highly regulated, long tail, and potentially volatile line of business. Reinsurance play a critical role in providing financial stability to primary insurer. Yeah. Competition is not the solution for every problem in some area, and not really to let market driven. Yeah. The insurance should be, I think, the most obvious of this situation is which collective communities tend to benefit from an investment in which cheats go beyond an individual insurance. Like the road design safety is prime example. In some countries, the police collect statistics regarding accidents that keep occurring at particular road junction. And then the child education as a second key example, teaching road safety, and then administration of justice reform. In many countries, this is major problem. There is no simple solution to any this matter. Every country is unique, and each need to find its own optimal answer. Nothing can be centrally prescribed. However, example given in this chapter suggests that as time passes, competition is one kind of another, has brought about reform for the wider benefit of the community. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Erwin, for the presentations. Apparently, we only have a limited time since we are approaching the Friday prayer right now. So I will just asking one questions to all the panelists, and I will open one questions from the floor. So for all the panelists, I heard that from Pak Erwin, also Pak Ibrahim, there are some challenges from the insurance and also from the reinsurance perspective. But I also observed there are another challenge such as like a potential fraud from the community and also the ability to buy the insurance for the low-class community. So I just want to know for all the panelists, how would you respond into this issue and challenges, and what should we prepare as an insurance practitioners and provider in the future? Maybe we can start with Pak Erwin first.
The fraud, man.
Yeah, the fraud. Yeah, the potential fraud and also the ability to buy from the low-class community.
Okay. maybe we have to manage our how the data is about the protecting about how the claim is managed from insurer. Yeah. Maybe this is from in the insurance perspective. We have now complex data about this. Yes. We have now many much how the fraud coming to reinsurers. Yeah, this is actually originally from coming from the insurers. I think this is maybe Pak Ibrahim can present by the data, Pak.
I just want to chip in a bit on the fraud issue. I mean, fraud is not, isolated towards vehicles and in particular MTPL. I mean, fraud is all insurance problem. It is in health, it is in property, it's in life, and it is in MTPL as well. So I think when it comes to fraud, then with the advancement of technology, we have to, how to introduce technology to detect fraud system, maybe parametric system to understand whether a particular claim is really a real claim or coming from fraud system. I mean, we have been, driven by a large number of big data that can be used to really determine whether a situation is a real situation of accident or something driven by fraud and moral hazard. So I think the only thing that can be promoted to reduce potential of fraud, stemming from two aspects. The first aspect is, of course, awareness and trust of the system. I mean, if you don't trust the system, you will be feeling like whether my claim will be paid on time or not, and then it will lead to situation where probably you will be incentivized to do fraud. But if the system is really efficient, that really allows you to get the benefit of insurance, I don't think people will have any interest to do fraud. And the second aspect of, as I mentioned before, is always technology. I mean, with the advancement of technology, I think insurance providers should utilize more so that we can determine whether again the claim coming from a real situation or driven by fraud. So that's probably my response.
So from ASEAN perspective, so I think how to promote the product for especially for low class customers. So I think fully it's compulsory already. So like you travel by airplane, you have to buy insurance for yourself. But now you travel by road, you buy insurance for other people, for third party liability. I think the first thing is how to promote the awareness, the understanding of the people when they travel abroad. So it's good for them and for other people when they travel across. I think first thing is people must understand the product. And I think back to this, the theme of this conference is how to securing stability. So I think you can use data, you can use big data to have a good product at low price. So I think that because you can have a digital product with the big data to analyze the customer behavior and the customer past record, they can have a better price for each people. And I think it depends on each country of ASEAN. Like Indonesia, you have a very good data already, so we can have a connection and to our neighboring country like Malaysia, and you can have a better offer the good product at a lower price for people. And I think it's the perspective from ASEAN countries. So mandatory already, but how to promote people to use. And now it's digitalized already. So how to use data to lower price for people based on their behavior on driving.
Okay. Do you want to respond again, Pak Ibrahim? No? All right. Thank you for the response from all the panelists. So right now we have one question from the audience. I think Pak Ibrahim or Pak Erwin can respond to this. The questions will be, which one do you see more suitable for Indonesia situations? Is there a private scheme or mixed scheme, and why?
Yeah, let me try to answer, and then I'll hand over to Pak Erwin. So my PhD was not in actuarial science. My PhD was purely on economics. So from economic perspective, when we decide a scheme of particular program, then the basic nuance will be to understand whether the program is falling under specific market structure. I mean, if you see that market failure happens, which means that either marginal cost is too expensive to procure, the market is not developed yet, the market has been experiencing loss for a long time, so it is not possible to let the market solve the problem. So which means that government should intervene. So by saying that government should intervene, it doesn't mean that everything should be provided by government, but rather when the program is being introduced and let's say Jasindo operate or GRPs operate, it means that government should realize that we cannot use profitability measures to determine whether the program is success or not. It is more on whether it will reduce economic loss, whether it will reduce fatalities. So there will be the combination between introduction of new program and nurturing the market. So if you let the market where the market is not developed yet, the outcome will be two options. First, it will lead to oligopoly, or it will lead to predatory pricing. By means oligopoly, it will set price too high, which means limited market will be exposed from the citizens, or they collude and then they will determine the price as much as they want, which either way it will be bad for society. So I think government should realize the importance of the program and see whether market failure occurs, and then they can determine whether intervention is needed, because insurance is not only one spending that government should think in this current situation. They have to think about lunch, they have to think about infrastructure, health and stuff. So when we are asking government to intervene, it doesn't mean that it will last forever. There should be some period where market should develop and insurance providers can be independent from the intervention from the government. So
yeah. Okay. I think this is for the initial stage when the regulation is starting. I think maybe is the regulate government is maybe from the this is centralized to the central price option is one of the I think in best option for the initial stage. Maybe stipulating and from the community is introduce the benefit about the MCPL. And then maybe it's coming a second stage. Maybe we can improve this. Maybe slow, but to give this is slow to free market. Like in Europe, insurance is. The beginning is about should be from the central price, and then growing the portfolio and regulation is going to the free market part. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the great discussions. Unfortunately, we have a very limited times. So I just want to conclude for our discussions. The first one is a high volume of the policy from the motor TPL insurance is expected to reduce the fatalities accident in the market. In order to increase the number of policy, we should be able to facing and solve the challenge around the market structure and also building the trust from the community. It also increased the public awareness on this motor vehicle insurance in the future. The second one is that the ACMI framework hopefully can be easily implemented for Indonesia and the other ASEAN countries in response to the upcoming regulations of motor TPL. And the third one, the future trends in motor TPL will be the electric vehicle and the telematics-based insurance. So thank you so much for all the distinguished panelists for your times and the contributions in the last day of Indonesia Rendezvous 2024. And to all participants, I appreciate your taking time to provide some feedback to us. I think I will close today's sessions. Once again, thank you so much for the enthusiasm, and I will hand over the sessions to our MC. Thank you.
Round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen, for our moderator.